Built in 1892 at 16th Street and Jefferson, Eastlake Park has served as a primary recreational venue for youth and families for generations. This park has hosted historic figures such as Booker T. Washington in 1911 and has been the site of significant civil rights rallies. This park was also home to the annual Martin Luther King Jr. birthday celebration. Eastlake Park's rich history, community pride, and extensive renovations were recently celebrated with a grand reopening. We now bring you the highlights from this event.
My mother, who lived across the street, Clara Lauren Good, taught her children to say thank you for every kind word and deed that we would receive. Thank you, City of Phoenix taxpayers, for the necessary funds, Eastlake Park Association for your hours of devotion, all staff members, Parks Board, Historical Commission, and all others for their invaluable assistance and cooperation. We're grateful. I have lived across the street at 1508 East Jefferson Street. We have 3 sons, and my wife, George, is here. She's in the front row here. Thousands of people see this park, rapid rail riders, drivers, etc., on a daily basis. My request is that it receive budgetary allocations to keep it looking beautiful and useful. Eastlake Park staff, you agree with me? Do you hear me, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council Member, staff member, and all others? In short, Eastlake Park Association and all residents say thank you for your interest and actions, what you have done, and what you're committed to do in the future to keep this 98 years old, established in 1914, oldest park in the city.
We thank you for its existence as a part of the city parks since 1914, and we thank you for the history that is here. To know that future basketball players, sports players, all got their start right here is so meaningful and so helpful. So we thank you for that, as well as for the families who have come to this place, even for the homeless, men and women, who have slept here in times past. So God, we dedicate this reopening of Eastlake Park to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to which stands one nation under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
You know, I often get asked as mayor, with a city that has grown so fast like the city of Phoenix, does our city have a soul? Where's the heart of the city? Well, people of Phoenix, we're at it. Eastlake Park is the heart and soul. It is the center of our city. So it is right and correct that the people of this city, as Vice Mayor Good mentioned, have chose to reinvest in the soul of the city. Our state just celebrated its centennial just a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, 100 years. Well, Eastlake Park is older than that. The state is its younger sister. And this is a legendary park in so many ways. The people that work so hard for this city and this state to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's holiday, a lot of that planning started right here. All the marches started right here. So in so many ways, this park is the conscience of the city as well. To make something like this takes a lot of people, and I know there'll be others that will recognize a few more, but I want to recognize a couple. First, At the City of Phoenix, we are a team. It's not a mayor that gets things done by him or herself. It's really a team. Of course, your best teammates are first and foremost the other members of the City Council, and I just want to publicly recognize my wingman, my Vice Mayor, Councilman Michael Johnson. I'll be saying a few words in just a moment. Councilman, thank you for your reminder to the city of how important this park is. Another colleague is here. He's here in a different capacity, I know, and really a support, but our District 7 council member and a strong parks advocate, Michael Nowakowski. Thank you for being here, Michael. Now, he is here as the other half of his wife, who is one of the most active members of our Parks Board. And of course, if you know how the city works, you know that when it comes to parks activities, the Phoenix Park Boards has equal jurisdiction as the City Council does itself. So Delia Nowakowski, thank you for being here and your leadership on the Parks Board. I know a lot of the departments chipped in. Obviously, bond money from the Parks and Preserve money from the city. Historic preservation resources went into this, and I know I see Tom Chapman from the Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you much, Tom, for your leadership on historic preservation issues. I know Neighborhood Services chipped in a little. It takes a village to get something like this done. And finally, there are a couple of members who fight for us at the state legislature. Our Senator Leah Landrum Taylor, who does a great job representing our community. And our friend, Representative Ruben Gallego. Thank you for being here. As mayor of the city, I just want to publicly thank those active residents. We won't be a great city unless we have active neighborhoods, and the Eastlake neighborhood is alive and well, and obviously this park is in part a testament to that. And again, on behalf of all the people of the city of Phoenix, thank you for everyone that made this a reality.
We need to stand up and give Mr. Good a big round of applause. After serving 22 years on the city council, he didn't just go home and rest. He continued to be an advocate for the community. He continued to make sure that we had the things. He continued to walk the path and lead by example. This didn't start overnight. This didn't start a month ago. This started 5 years ago when we started talking about the bond program and looking at the bond program and making sure we put money in there. And I would tell you that Mr. Good was focused. He was focused. There was a lot of things in the bond program, but he was focused on this. He was focused on it. He followed it. He came down. We was just talking. He should have registered as a lobbyist because he came down to City Hall to make sure the money was there. He followed this project. He made sure everything was done, that we have this great facility. And we cannot go without acknowledging and thanking him for what he has done. Him and Mr. Good spent many, many hours making sure that we got this park built, that we got the renovations done, that we looked at it. They looked at the plans, the designs, and if it didn't look right, Mr. Good let you know. 50, 60 years ago, when African Americans or minorities couldn't live in any other place in the city, they stayed here in the inner city. When they couldn't go anyplace else, when they didn't have any other parks to go to, they came right here to this park. And as this city continues to grow, as we build a downtown area and it continues to expand out, we still have a city and a community where minorities and African Americans are a part of it. That what's here is still there. It's not tore down and it's not big condos. It's still here to represent what this community is. I was born in the old Maricopa County Hospital out there on Durango, where Sheriff Joe and Tent City and all this. You wouldn't think that that used to be a hospital out there. And my parents live right over here on 14th Street in Monroe, right behind Arnold's Pickle Factory. It used to be houses over there. My mom worked over here right there on Washington at Eddie's Bar. She bartended over there as Eddie's Bar when all those things was going on. And Maxine Johnson, who many of you know has been around in the community, still sings, still entertains. They used to have a big old house right over there on the corner of 14th Street and Jefferson. We knew where we lived at because we used to say we stayed behind the pickle factory. And for the life of me, I could not think of what the name of those projects were. And it's the Lou Crone projects that's over there. But you know, they asked one of the little kids, Do you remember what the name of those projects are? The little kid said yes, and we asked what it was. He said they call it the Pickle Project. So you know that Arnold's Pickle Factory still had recognition, because at one point, those big barrels and pickles, you could smell them, you know, that they would have them back there, that you could smell them. But it's thankful, and I'm so thankful to Mr. Good and the opportunity to be able to serve the citizens, to work and continue these efforts that Mr. Good has set out there for us. He's laid some groundwork for us out there. Let's live the example that Mr. Good has set for us, to take care of what we have, to look after what we have, to make sure that we reinforce it, to educate our young people. Ms. Good's been an educator, to educate. Mr. Good's been an educator, to educate our young people, to take care of what we have here. This is our property. This is history. This is where a lot of our grandparents, our parents, this is history. This is history here. So, Mr. Good, we look forward to continue that, and surely, Mayor, Councilman Norikowski, we surely got your message. For the field that's across the street, and we will continue to look at that. But thank you for coming out here. And again, Mr. Good, thank you for all that you've done for this community in the city of Phoenix and your tireless service to the city.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Michael Johnson, for those kind words. I didn't ask you to say that about me, but thank you anyway. Next speaker, Arizona Senator Leah Landrum Taylor, District 16. She encompasses this area. So Leah, come on.
I just love that. Somebody that totally could say, Leah, come on. and I say, okay. I want to just say good morning and thank you for everybody that came out. And I certainly took note, Mr. Good, and I'll make sure to also stay on the mayor and the vice mayor and the council members about that vacant land. If you need any help, I can help you with that as well. But I would like to say to everyone that there's all kind of places you all could have been this morning, but you came here to make sure that you were a part of something very special to this community. We've heard from the prior speakers of the importance of this area here at Eastlake Park, and how this has been, the terminology earlier was it was a place where consciousness would many times begin. And so when we think of that, of that historically, and knowing now that we're standing on the grounds where individuals made sure that no matter what, they didn't take an answer of no. They said things could always get better. And so when we look around here today and we see what happens when individuals said no, things need to be better. But we're here to celebrate the renovation of our Eastlake Park. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And so all the individuals, yeah, please give a hand. All of the individuals that worked extremely hard with the leadership of Councilman Calvin Good, his wife, and those that serve on the Parks Board and the staff that worked really hard to make sure that this became a reality. Now it's up to the community to make sure that we continue to support this park and to come out, to have meetings, to have celebrations, and it's getting ready to be that time of the year for family reunions, all that good stuff. This is an area where our kids, our families can come out, get together, feel safe, and have a place that we can have pride in. Very popular street that individuals drive down on a regular basis. And we know that this is certainly a cornerstone of the history in this community here in Phoenix. I hear about it all the time with my parents. They tell me all the stories of what happened here at Eastlake Park and the dances and everything, the things that Councilman Johnson was talking about earlier. And so to know that there are so many pleasant memories and many more pleasant memories to come, I certainly have a special touch right here in my heart for Eastlake Park always, because right when I got out of college, my first boss back there, Renee Vera, raise your hand, Renee. So I think I have a special place in my heart here at Eastlake Park. But certainly we want to continue to make sure that we support, and when we're here in our centennial year here in this great state, thinking of the fact that we're 100 years old now, and yet we're still moving forward and celebrating great things, even more to come. I was talking with my colleague, Representative Ruben Gallego, and he's going to come up and say a couple of words as well. I'd like to welcome him to come join me. And we want to make sure that from our state legislature together on Monday, we're going to put forward a proclamation to honor the history of Eastlake Park in both chambers, in the House as well as in the Senate. So I want to then have an opportunity to invite everyone to come to that when Representative Ruben Gallego and I put that together. But without any further ado, I'm really glad that he's here, and I'd like to go ahead and pass the mic over and know that you have a good team here with District 16.
Absolutely. Thank you. It is good to be here. You know, Leah and I battle it out down there every day trying to make sure that your state government doesn't cut more and doesn't cut our children off any more than they are. And it's great to come to the city of Phoenix to see a project like this that reminds me that there is a government that cares about the people, there's a government that cares about our kids, and there's a government that believes in investing in our families.
He wasn't on the program, but we certainly heard his words. We make note of them, and we're going to hold him to it. In terms of Leah Landry, her parents, I first met in Gila Bend, Arizona. Can you imagine someone coming from Gila Bend, Arizona? Any of you ever been there? Quite a town, isn't it? I see my brother out there. He raised his hand. Well, certainly the next speaker is one that we are very pleased to have. The Parks Board is extremely important. And when I asked for a picture of East Lake to be taken, because I have a picture when it was a lake out here. Some of you don't know that, but if you want to see that picture, I'll show it to you. And I was promised I would get a picture. I'm still looking for that picture. Parks and Recreation Board Chairman, Delia Ortega-Nowakowski, come forward.
Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this incredible celebration. Parks and Recreation, without a doubt, have an impact on the social, economic, and health environment of our community. There's even a greater impact when the community is at the center of that park innovation. Eastlake Park has a long-standing history of that greater impact, and today we're here to celebrate not only its history, but the continuation of that history. The beauty of this project lies within the community participation. There are many special people who personally invested their time in making this an extraordinary project. Why? Because they believe that parks and recreation are what makes that invaluable difference to community and families. I would like to ask and acknowledge two very special people who in their own right make a difference to parks and recreation. Valerie Churchwell and Roger Peck, if you can please stand so that we can acknowledge you. They serve on the Parks Board. Valerie right in the back, Roger right here. They're members of the Parks and Recreation Board, and they too are here to be able to recognize the amazing people who made this dream a reality. First, we'd like to acknowledge the Eastlake Park Neighborhood Association for their support of the Eastlake community and the park and their vital assistance with the park's master planning. The past president, Dr. Blair, who unfortunately has since passed away, but has left us a legacy of Eastlake Park. Councilman Calvin Seagood, as we all know, and everyone that comes here to this podium can't help but to acknowledge his tireless efforts for this park. Councilman Good, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And of course, we can't forget and acknowledge that there's always, when there's a team behind an effort, things happen. And we have Mrs. Georgie Good here with us today. We want to acknowledge her. Thank you so much for your sacrifice and for the support of Eastlake Park. And of course, to the citizens of Phoenix for the support through the 3 PI funds and historic preservation and bonds for the total project construction cost of $4 million. Thank you so very much. It's parks like Eastlake Park that serve as an inspiration for us to continue our efforts citywide. It is through all of our hard work and dedication that we will have the privilege of participating in many more projects like this one, and I thank all of you once again for all your work.
Good morning. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here today. I'm representing the approximately 600 staff members from the Parks and Recreation Department, and it's been set up here. They do this because they love to do this. They love to provide facilities for the community. But what is Eastlake Park all about? You've heard a little bit this morning about its history, but it's really about, just look out here, it's about community. This is the front porch to downtown. We're all just sitting on the porch having a conversation this morning. Isn't that delightful? I want to just take a minute to thank my bosses for letting us do this. David Cavazos, the city manager, is not able to be here. He's at another event. But Rick Neymark, my former boss, is sitting here, and Rick was very supportive of this project and every other park project we work on. And my current boss, Jerome Miller here, Deputy City Manager. Jerome's a great guy and very supportive of parks facilities, parks program, and understands the community and why we do this. And I just want you to think about that a little bit. Parks are really our front porches and where we meet and greet and get along and interact with folks. And a comment to the mayor and council. I know the mayor wasn't on the council here when we put this project in action, but the vice mayor was. And it may be one of your most proudest votes, Michaels, when you said yes to the funding for Eastlake Park. And thank you, sir. That's what makes the difference. It makes things like this happen.
City of Phoenix became the first city in the state of Arizona to have a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. So thank you again, Councilman Good, for leading that initiative and having Phoenix first. Thank you. Thank you. On April 4th, 1968, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, the country was in turmoil. Some places were burning to the ground. Other places, turmoil was being encouraged. Right here in Phoenix, in April of 1968, there were 4 students who came together and met and decided, while we were really agonizing over what had happened, we wanted to know what to do in the city of Phoenix. And those students, Mr. Charles Campbell, Dr. Charles Campbell, Paul Monte, DeCoven Jordan, and yours truly. We met to discuss a course of action and what we could do to pay tribute to one of America and the world's finest, Dr. King. There was a decision to have a memorial march. And we got assistance from then Senator Clovis Campbell and from Herb Boyer of the Phoenix OIC to help us, to rein us in on some of our emotion as we planned for this memorial march. We had a lot of questions. Where should the march take place? Who should be involved? Where should we assemble? We assembled here. Our march route was to the state capitol, and over the years, we've had that march continue. We changed in the last few years a bit of the route to go to Hans Deck Park because we outgrew, in terms of attendance, Eastlake Park, but we still keep as the assembly point for our memorial march, Eastlake Park. From 1970 to 1986, there was a Happy Birthday Martin celebration that was held here at Eastlake Park. We worked with park staff. Jackie Jennis was one of the folks that we worked with, Pam Katie, and we had a celebration here. We didn't have a holiday, so we decided to have a birthday party every year for Martin Luther King and did that here at Eastlake Park. We've had, since then, basketball tournaments, art exhibits, talent shows, a state memorial that Ron Turner was instrumental in doing, that's that front part of the park. All of that connection between the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, Eastlake Park, and the city of Phoenix. This dream that has thus far led us on our way will continue. God bless Eastlake. May you continue to grow and expand and serve our community.
It all began in parks and recreation centers and places like that. And I think the great lessons that I learned in life, some of them were learned in places like that. And that's
with the kids, the children here, I think that is the gift that you've given them beyond beyond a lot of things. It's that time where they can go and learn how to triumph out of adversity. We learn that you're going to fall down, you're going to get behind, but you can keep trying, you can keep striving, you can get up. Those were some of the lessons you learned as a kid in a park in these settings. And I think the one thing, listening to the other people on stage, that I didn't realize when I was a kid, and that I've realized since I've grown up, certainly, was that all those lessons, the place that I was doing them in, that somebody provided those services for me, that area for me. And so as a scientist once said, one of my favorite quotes is, if I saw farther, if I reached further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. And here you are. But the lesson is that here are your giants. Maybe they don't stand as tall as I do, right? But certainly their effort, their souls, their spirit to get things done is giant, is enormous. And these are the lessons that you pass on to the kids who play here in this park and use these facilities and these services to strive to be the best they can be.